What up, Facebook, and wherever else this video lands. So, what am I going to talk about today? It's like when you hit the live button, right? For anyone who does live streams, you have the intention of delivering something valuable. But a lot of the times then you resort to like hype. You're trying to make things all exciting and flashy and fun and all that. And there's, I enjoy some good hype. But I also just enjoy when you hear a message that really resonates and it sticks with you and it helps you change. So that's my intention with this. And I want to share a little bit about in my past 5-6 years of my life, some of the times where I've changed and grown the most. And maybe you can get something out of that, because when you find someone who has a similar path and you've seen things that work for them, a lot of times it carries over for you. So when I look back at the most impactful things, I mean, if I even go back in time to 10 years ago, 2013, I made a decision to move to Brazil for 6 months, and I was a student down there, and it was just something that was so outside my comfort zone. And this is the first point I want to share, is getting out of your comfort zone, doing things where you don't know exactly how it's going to happen. Like, so much in our lives throughout the week, throughout the day-to-day is just predictable. You know what's going to happen. And that was one of the first things that really changed the trajectory of my life, because I met a bunch of people there, creating new relationships. That actually led to the whole next chapter of my life, where I moved out from Minnesota, where I was born, to the East Coast. So that was the first one, getting way outside my comfort zone, and then doing it fully. Like, doing it in a way where I'm not just like, oh, I'm outside my comfort zone, great. It's like, no, I'm here. I'm going to make the most of this. So that was huge. And then as I learned about business and how to make money online and all that, I went to a conference out in Las Vegas. And that was another huge change for me, because at that event, I met a handful of people. Like, I went to that event thinking, oh, I'm going to learn some secrets of knowledge and something like that, and the tips and the tricks. But actually, what impacted me the most from that event was 2 relationships that came out of it, with 2 people that became business partners of mine. And one of them in particular introduced me to some training that forever changed the course of my life. So that was another thing. It was again, got out of my comfort zone. I was like, man, I got to buy a ticket to that event. I got to get to Vegas. I got to buy a hotel room. I've never been to Vegas. It was just like so many reasons my mind could give me. But because it was who I am, knows I want to keep growing and always finding that best version of myself, I got to be put in environments where that happens. And it was like everything I wanted from the event happened times 10. And that was another huge pivotal moment of my life. Then fast forward again, and I went to another event out in Denver, Colorado. This was back in 2019. This is when I met many of the people that I now work with very closely in the Self-Perfected group, and that whole realm, transforming the education, business, and all that. And that was another situation where I was low on money. Things weren't really going my way. I was definitely lost and at a crossroads. But I knew if I can just get around the right people, something good will come from this. Something happens at events. Something happens when you're outside your comfort zone. And it's not always just, oh, I saw one motivational speaker give me one nugget of gold. It's not that. It's in that process of you forcing yourself outside your comfort zone, that strain that you put on yourself, that's actually where the growth happens. And then I remember like having conversations in the lounge at the brunch, or late night at 1 a.m. hanging out in the hotel lobby with the other people from the event, just laughing, having fun, getting to know each other. Those were the moments where I would make these new decisions, this new way of seeing myself, a new identity. And that then led to me now literally being with the group that I've now been working with for the past 3-4 years. And we have a 100-year vision to what we're building. It was like the thing that I had been looking for a decade finally manifested from that event. Because think about people who go to events. I mean, they're people who want more. They desire to have more. They desire to have breakthroughs. And when you're around that, it is worth 100-fold from the investment. And not just the money investment, like the time and the energy investment. And I saw that too. And then fast forward again, another event. This was just locally here in Minnesota, where I didn't want to go out. I just wanted to focus on my business. I wanted to stay inside, just keep doing what I was doing. But deep down, I knew there's more. There's still more. There's still more. And one of my friends hit me up and he's like, hey man, you should come to this event. And it's just in Northeast Minneapolis and 20 minutes from where I was living. And at that event, I met my now wife. Literally, she greeted me at the door. And I was not expecting it whatsoever, but that's the power of being around other people in person. And then that's when I met Jessica. And then we made our relationship more official down the road, where, again, there was another event. This one was in Cabo in Mexico. And I went to that event, again, knowing I'm like, I want to be around more of these people. Like, I had started working with the group with, Self-Perfected and TT and everything like that. And a lot of us went to this event. And Jessica went to that event too, before we were even dating. And I remember that night, it was like Saturday night. It was like a nice banquet, red carpet gala, everything. And, we're eating food and I'm just sitting there chatting with Jessica because she ended up just sitting next to me. And I was like, wow, I enjoyed it so much. I will always remember that because that was like the first moment where I realized, wow, like me and Jessica are going to build something really amazing in Minneapolis where we live. Because again, we're out of the country, but you get this fresh perspective when you're in a new environment like that. And that was amazing to me. And then fast forward again. Don't worry, there's not too many more I'm going to share, but it's like each one of these were a pivotal defining moment in my life. And another huge one was then after Jessica and I got married. We got married first out in Vegas. I mean, we knew from day one of our relationship we were going to get married. We made it official in Vegas, but then we never had the proper wedding until then the following October. There's, COVID, all that stuff happened. It was hard for people to travel, and we knew we wanted to do a really, really awesome wedding. And we balled out. Like, we got the nicest venue in the whole state. I mean, maybe there's some elite country club that I don't have access to, but it's literally tallest building, nicest venue, had, I don't know, 100, 200 people from around the world come in for the wedding. And it was like an event to remember. I know many of you watching this, like, you were there. Some of you didn't know us at the time, but you would have been invited if we knew you at the time. But it was like, that was really our statement to the world of saying, look, we're not here to play small. We're here to show people what's possible, because when you have real purpose and when you're around people and you're on the side of life, like when you're genuinely deep down a good person and you want to serve the world, that comes through. And everything worked out amazingly. And then at our wedding, that was when Owen and Chantel started their relationship. Shout out Owen and Chantel. That was when Drake and Christine got engaged. That was when Jonathan and Zoe, we helped Jonathan really go to their next level of their commitment to each other. Just so much good stuff came from that. And it's not because me and Jess are so special or anything. It's just that's our point that we play in the community is we love to put people together because we know the magic that happens. You can have a really good plan. You can tell people the dates and you get there and we'll have a general framework. But then at the event, that's where the magic really happens. And it's something that I'm still working on putting into words. But it's like when you show up at an event with an intention of something in your life that you want to shift. Like, have you noticed in the past, let's say, year, are there days where you still feel sad, or you feel lonely? Maybe you feel anxious. Maybe you feel insecurity. Maybe you feel like you have some friends, but they're not fully on board. Maybe there's a lot more you can do in terms of taking responsibility. Maybe there's that business venture you want to do or something where you're not fully there and you don't know exactly what's missing. You can tell there's some blocks, but you don't know exactly what it is. That's really the power of an event, because you'll go there and you have that intention and you will meet people. You'll sit next to someone, you'll eat dinner somewhere, you'll be sitting at the coffee shop somewhere before something, whatever. And you'll have those conversations and those breakthroughs with people. Because in our community, specifically with the Self-Perfected community and the kind of events that Jessica and I co-host, amongst many others, is everyone's there to give. Everyone's there to give to the benefit of the group And then the real benefit of the group is then everyone will receive, tenfold. It's like you have a garden and you plant seeds. Guess what happens to that seed? It doesn't just create one new seed. It creates 10 or 100 or 1,000 new seeds. That's how it works with humans, is when you come together in agreement. And so that was then another really profound moment, because that was when Jessica and I saw, okay, we put ourselves out there. We said, hey, we're doing this event. We know some of you got to travel from Canada. It ain't easy, getting across the border, all that stuff. People still came, and not just showed up. People came and they played full on out. And literally, like I said, relationships were formed from that. Like, so much good stuff came from that. That was the weekend that Seth and Amy met each other too. That was the weekend Pedro hosted a clubhouse here in Minnesota, in St. Paul. We had like 50 some people there on the roof. We got in trouble because we had too many people on the roof. Like, that kind of surge, that then provides a shift. And to then fast forward, and I'll just share one more, and then I'll share the whole point of this video, is we've then had events in Texas. So shout out Cameron and Katie from the community, the kids, Max, Seneca, Caius. They do a wonderful job of hosting. And we've had these ranch reunions, because they have this awesome property, a bunch of land, really fun. It's like small town Texas, but it's like elite. It's the coolest combo. And at that event, for example, we were hanging out with one guy who's responsible for getting a lot of politicians into office and just really cool stuff. And he's working on totally next level with farming and sustainable food. And he's Cameron's neighbor. And Avery and I got to go, and we hung out with the guy for 3 hours, and he took us on a whole tour of his property. And he's got a place where he's growing moss on the swamp, and he's telling us how he's building that into a business. And also, though, how he's on the same page with homeschooling his kids and stuff. And it's those types of experiences. When I got my ticket to that event, and when I bought my airplane ticket and I said, yes, I will be there, I had no idea what was going to happen. I had a general framework of, okay, cool, there's going to be great people. I'm going to get real support. People there are genuine. People there are here to help me grow, and I'm there to help them grow. That was really it. The greatness of it is that the stuff that you can't anticipate happening happens. And it is that times 100 when you're with the right people. Okay? So I'm bringing this all up because I know you've seen me post about this. I talk about it a lot. Is with Self-Perfected. We've been online for years, for the past 3.5 years. But imagine this. Imagine you're hosting a wedding, or the most important event of your life, let's say. You're hosting a big get-together for your wedding to celebrate something. And then imagine your friends go, yeah, well, can I just come on Zoom? It's why do you go in person to a wedding? It's important. It's important to actually be there in person. There's something that happens when you can give someone a hug, share a meal with them, really go deep with someone, support them. Maybe you can introduce them to someone. You see what they're going through. And sometimes you giving to another person, you actually get in return. Shout out Kevin. I saw him like this. Kevin will come from Guam. I don't even know how long of a flight that is, but it ain't short. But my Wi-Fi's going out. There we go. Now I'm on Wi-Fi. Cool. So I'm sharing this because then at that Jefferson event, let me just pull this all together. People show up there. Many of them didn't even know each other fully, or we'd seen each other online. But then you're there in person. And then there was a couple, shout out LaTanya and Kyler, who met at that event, and now they're in a committed relationship. And both of them had the intention when they got there. They're like, look, these are cool people. I'm down with the cause. I'm down with the mission. And now they end up together. That's the power of events. Where both of them were probably hoping something would happen, but it actually manifested. And so that's why we're putting together the event in San Diego. That's why we have put it together. It's sold out. If no one else bought a ticket to it, I would still be perfectly happy. We still have 30 tickets left. If you're at all on the fence and you're looking at your life and you know there's something you want to have shifted, sure, you could stay home and good luck. I don't know what's going to happen to you. But have you noticed that the whole world is pushing towards like online, digitized, centralized power? It's getting harder to travel, to get your visa, to get, passports, all that. I mean, remember the past few years when you weren't even allowed to cross the country lines unless you had a certain type of passport? It's like, remember they put everyone on a mask? It's like all that stuff. Don't forget that. Because right now we have a wonderful opportunity here in 2023 where there's not much for restrictions. There's a lot of freedom that we have. And the point of this group is not just to share some tips and tricks with you. If you want to do that, there's 20 YouTube videos you could watch. There's so much shit you could do for that. That's not the point of this event. Yes, we will have speakers and you will learn plenty of tips and tricks, I promise you. But that's not the point. Because you'll go home, you'll have your notebook and whatever. And some of you will take notes religiously and some of you won't take notes and whatever. There will be plenty of that at the event, don't worry. If you like that kind of thing, I personally love that thing. I fill up a whole notebook at an event, and I will at this one too. Also though, the point of this event is for you to get clear on purpose, vision, what's possible. I just hosted a small retreat here last weekend with some of the guys that I work with closely, and they came out here. We had 6 or 7 of us. And one of the guys, Yusuf, he brought this up to me because he lives in Manhattan. He flew out here, and we live kind of in the country. I don't know. We live 40 minutes from a major city. And Yusuf came out here because he wanted to grow and learn his next level of building the business and marketing and strategy and all that stuff. But he also knew, because he had been to enough events before that we put on, not just general events, the stuff that we do, because it has real purpose and real principle. And you should see it for yourself. He's been to events before, and one of the other times, he said his mind was blown because he had a conversation with Pedro when Pedro was 19. And the way Pedro just so matter-of-factly shared a couple key things with him, that had the biggest impact on Yusuf at that last event. And that changed his whole trajectory of his life. From 19-year-old. Okay? And now, Yusuf, this time, I was talking to him this morning about this. He goes, yeah, man, I had no idea the level that would affect me. Being at your house, realizing how different it is being out in the country compared to being in the city, and what that does to your sleep and your well-being. We were talking about that, because I was like, yeah, did you notice last night, like, there's no police sirens? Like, when he was here. No police sirens. Yeah, you hear some coyotes howling, but you hear, like, chickens, and the neighbor's got some cows, and it's just pretty quiet, and the wind, and just the weather and the ambiance. That had such a profound impact on him that he didn't... Do you think he anticipated that when he got his plane ticket and he's like, yeah, man, I'll be out there for the weekend? You think he's like, oh yeah, and it's going to totally change how I perceive my very living environment and how I appreciate where I live and where I want to live long term? He had no idea. And I had a time too where when I was in Texas, it was just after we bought this house. And I was like, yes, we got the dream home. This is amazing. I love being here. This is great. Cool. And it was the day after the event, and some people had left and everything. We were hanging out, and I was chatting with Katie, Cameron's wife, and we were just eating brunch or something, and she just said, so matter of fact, she's like, yeah, your house is great. I'm excited to see what future homes you get. And in that moment, it hit me. I was like, whoa, because I had accepted unintentionally. In my life, before that event, I had accepted, oh, great, we got the dream home. We're set. We'll just build out the dream home, but whatever. But Katie, because her vision was way bigger than mine at the time. I mean, even now, it's fun back and forth with our community. Like, we all got big visions in different areas. But she was able to see, she's like, look, yes, props to you for what you've done. Good job. And 5 years, 10 years from now, what's next? In that little conversation over brunch, when the kids were climbing on the table and just having fun, we're goofing around, that was the most impactful part of that event. I would have never anticipated that, but that stuck with me because that forced me to a higher level of thinking, and it was amazing. And so for the upcoming event in San Diego, this group is just different. It's different than anything you've seen. It's different than anything you've been a part of. You have so many people there who want to be there, who genuinely enjoy helping people, who have tools, who have reprogrammed themselves on such a deep level. You have people who have drastically changed their lives in the past 5 months and the past 5 years. And then you have a bunch of people who have never been to an event like this either. All coming together for 3-4 days. I mean, we'll be there for a whole week. Some of you are coming in early, gonna stay after. That is why we call it the event of the year. Is because you're gonna have all sorts of people from all around the world. We have people coming from South Africa. We have people come from Paraguay, from Germany, from France, all over. All to be there so that we can all level up together. Because as you look at the world and it's all caving in and collapsing down and people are depressed and lonely, and you might even be depressed and be lonely and scared and anxious and fearful and all that. Come to the event with the intention of shifting that and helping another person in this community shift that. Because I guarantee if you show up with that intention, and your intention is to also find new business partners, best friends, people who can support you, people who can mentor you. Maybe you're a parent and you have kids and you want your kids to have high quality friends. Like there's a bunch of families that'll be at this event too. That's why you should consider getting one of those last 30 tickets. So I'll leave it in the comments. And if I put this on YouTube, I'm sure I'll send this to some people too, because like I want you to be there. Again, we're going to be cool either way. I'm excited for everyone who got their ticket already. I'm really excited for the people who bought their tickets right away as soon as we announced it. And there's some people where I know your situation, maybe you had to save up for it or whatever. Just had to work it out, see if you could get your spouse there or whatever. But the people who are there want to be there. And they want you to be there. I want you to be there. And I'm really excited for what happens and then how the community levels up even more. And then we all bring it home. Because the other bigger part of this is everyone at that event has a group at home. And then they take what they learned and then they bring it back to their local communities. And then we build this into more bigger quarterly events. So there's always something for you to plug into. And then as you step up and as the world keeps changing, we have built our own system. So it doesn't matter what happens in the outside world, we're the future leaders. And we're all working together in harmony to make that happen, okay? We're literally creating our own reality. And if you resonate with this at all, and you want to have a conversation, I'll get on the phone with you. Like, I will make time for the people who want to know more, and if you're genuine. Okay? So, appreciate you tuning in. Looking forward to seeing y'all in San Diego. Bringing my son there, bringing my wife. We're going to have so much fun. And, this is still really just the beginning. And we're literally building an entirely new system. And it'd be great if you're part of it. All right. See ya.